Good evening and welcome to the Board of Health meeting. Oh, I guess I was supposed to wait. All right, good evening and welcome to the February 28th Board of Health meeting. We're going to review the minutes from January 10th. Did anybody have any questions?
Nope.
No? Okay. That was easy. All right, then we'll move right along to the COVID report. Lori, take it away.
With the minutes, did anybody want to make a motion to accept the
Oh,
minutes?
yeah,
I'll
sorry.
make a motion to accept the minutes.
Sorry.
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
It's been a long day.
It has been a long
Thank
day.
you
I will
very
agree
much.
with
And
you.
it's only Monday.
It's Monday. So as of February 24th, the total cases for Templeton were 1,872. That's from the beginning to now. Over the last 2 weeks, we are down to 37 positive cases. On Saturday, Rhonda, myself, Jess, and Tim Toth, who is a select board member, did a home test kit distribution from 9 to 11 at Town Hall. We did not have as many people as I would have thought would have come out, but we did have that massive snowstorm and,
Yeah.
there were a lot of circumstances. But for anybody who might want a box of test kits, we do have some in room 3, which is the Development Services Office at Town Hall. And during regular hours, you're more than welcome to come by and pick some up. And that's any resident.
Okay, great. Thank you.
As of tomorrow, after meeting on February 9th with Adam Lamontagne, our town administrator, we'll be lifting the mask mandate at all town offices. The senior center will reopen. The library will reopen. We're just going to go back to business as usual. Remote meetings will stop and we're going to move forward.
All right. Will there be masks required in the building still or no?
There will not.
Okay.
The select board office, development services office, assessor and town clerk's office all had permanent glass installed
That's
a week
awesome.
and a half ago. So yeah, so it's like a real counter situation now. So
Great. Okay. Any other updates on that?
not that I can think of unless you have any questions.
I do not. Earl, Laura, do you have questions?
No.
No.
No? All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. And then there's an update on 38 Baldwin Drive.
So I think I had kind of mentioned to you guys that there was an issue at one of the apartments over there. There was a definite water and mold issue that SK Management was taking care of. And the young lady who lived there had an issue with the way it went down and wanted to report that she had an issue with me. Come to find out, it was SK Management had actually given her $5,000 to stay in a hotel or wherever she needed to stay. And they did do all the repairs, found the leak, repaired it, took everything out, put new cabinets in. And the young lady who lived there actually ended up getting another $5,000 to move out. She chose not to live there anymore. So that apartment has been re-inspected and we'll be doing a pre-rental inspection so that they can rent it out to a new tenant.
Okay. I know we had talked about that, Lori, so I guess that's all for the better. So you get to re-inspect it now, or you're re-inspecting it? Okay.
I've already
And then-
been in after she signed off and took the money, and I don't know what her living circumstances are now. But
Okay. All right, well, I know that you did your job by re-inspecting it or going in and, or inspecting it in the first place, so.
well, and
Sounds
I
like-
want to say that SK Management was doing their job too.
Yeah,
I can't get a handle on what the real situation was and why she was behaving the way she was behaving, but yeah.
okay. Well, and then once it's, you'll do an inspection before it's rented, is that what you said? The pre-rental?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that update. And then the next agenda item is the landfill report.
So in October, the regular well monitoring and Mark Popham, who does the work for us, he goes out and looks at the landfill cap. They do all of the inspections of the well monitoring, which we already have been through that report. And once DEP had gotten the report, they looked at it and they would like us to repair. There's a vent cap. So it's like the candy cane.
Yeah,
It needs to be repaired or replaced, which is not a problem. I'll look for somebody to do that. And I will take our DPW director out there too to look at the swale, because there's some woody growth in the swale, which is at the bottom of your landfill cap. It's the granite that holds everything down and protects everything. And we need to clean it out. We need to remove the woody growth. So we'll be looking into having that done too.
does the DPW normally do that for
No,
us? I
the-
didn't think they did.
well, they're buildings and grounds, so we're gonna have, Bob and I have talked about it before. And now we really do need to do something. So if
Okay,
we have to hire out, we'll figure it out and we'll get it done.
okay. And did you know the reason why the DEP took so long to get back to Mark?
I'm gonna be honest, the issue with the vent has been, the vent still works. It's just
Okay.
it's a noted cracked piece of equipment.
Okay,
I think they've either been really shorthanded or
okay.
it's the first
It
time.
makes sense, I guess,
Yeah.
with everything else that's going on. Okay.
Right, right.
Do you guys have any other questions about that, Laura and Earl?
Nope.
No? Okay. Moving right along to the community septic loan for 17 Beech.
17 Beech Street. So, let's see. So with 17 Beech Street, the system was definitely failing. And we went out and it was perked. And all told, with all the fees associated with putting a new system in, the property owners are looking to borrow $13,800.
Okay.
They did choose. Let's see. They did choose the lowest bid, which was Roddy and Son. And all of their other paperwork is here. Plans were done and approved. Plans were submitted by Mark Popham.
Okay.
And really, that's it.
All right, I would make a motion that we lend them that money.
I'll second it.
And I will agree.
So it's all in favor.
Thanks, Laura.
Yeah.
And is the paperwork all done, Lori, or do you need to
I
finish
do
that
have
once
I have the paperwork done.
Okay,
Before I have you come in and sign anything, I've got to send them a letter and let them know everything is all set. I'll get them to
Okay.
sign the betterment agreement, and then I can let you know when everything comes back.
okay. I'm around. All right, moving along to the Rooster Bylaw. Did you guys have a chance to look at that?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I did as well.
Any questions?
I had a few and I didn't have a chance to bring it up with Lori because I've been on vacation. So
Okay.
if you could just bear with me 1 second.
Okay.
I'll think about it.
This is live, Lori. Be nice. No.
Show them the real me.
Yeah, you are nice. That nobody could tell me other.
My husband is raising his hand in the background.
Oh,
Evidently,
tell him no,
he could tell you otherwise.
You were cooking and dancing in the kitchen over the weekend. What could you
That
say?
is
That's not
correct.
nice.
Yeah.
The only problem I really had with it was the keeping of chickens that are allowed to free range upon or budding neighboring properties anytime, and further must be enclosed or fenced in properly by the owner's property. I think that really opens a can of worms with somebody's chicken who wanders. You're telling them they have to fence in their property. That I just don't think that's really going to work. I would say if somebody has a problem with them and there's repeated complaints, but if a chicken does get out, forcing someone to, and somebody complains about it, if it's a one-time occurrence and then forcing somebody to fence in their property, that just doesn't sit well with me at all. If it's a recurring problem where the chickens are constantly wandering across someone's yard, digging it up, I understand completely. You have to respect somebody else's property. But for a one-off, I mean, there should be, I guess, like some sort of level of before we have to actually enforce a fence, because people are going to start putting up fences everywhere, complaining that the chicken, might have crossed my property. I want a fence on that side. And then you're going to have an argument about what type of fencing. And I'll be honest, some people might take it as I will put up the ugliest fence that I can possibly think of and destroy the whole look of what could be a pristine property or a neighbor or something. I mean, we already know about the rooster problem and how edgy that's getting. And I just don't think that making people put up fences for a wandering chicken is the best solution at first. You know, I mean, people do need to contain their pets or whatnot, but it's very off-putting the way it was written.
I will take a look at it and try and reword it. It is totally complaint driven, and there is more than one chance to rectify the situation before something like that happens. So most people don't mind their neighbors' chickens in their yard. We, however, now have a multitude, and I'm going to call it gentlemen farmers, in small spaces. And the chickens are overrunning their neighbors' properties, eating their vegetables, eating their flowers, defecating in their driveways and in their yards. And
I completely understand that and agree with that 100%. That was my point. My point was you could have two neighbors in a quarry, or a quarrel rather, and just saying, oh, well, his chickens walk on my property, I want a fence.
Yeah.
And then you're running into problems, I feel.
Right. I do see Carrie Novak from AgCom is hopping on, which is great.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah. So anything to do with this bylaw is strictly complaint driven. It's not, most people get along just fine with animals in their yards. It's been, a few select that have caused the major issue.
Carrie, did you make some comments on that? Were you able to hear what Earl said? about the fence?
Carrie, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay,
Okay,
Oh,
we
we can
can
hear you
barely
now.
hear you.
you're quiet.
Oh, I know. You know what? I keep forgetting to open my laptop.
Oh.
There she
Now we
is.
can see you and hear you. Okay. Did you hear Earl's question?
I came in towards the end. I just got out of another meeting.
Okay.
So I was at the very end of, I didn't hear his question. I just heard some of his comments.
You
I
want to
don't-
repeat it, Earl?
Sure, my question, well, it wasn't more of a question, it was more of a statement. The way that it's worded would come off as if somebody complains about a chicken going across into somebody else's yard, then they're gonna be required, the owner of the chicken's gonna be required to put up a fence to keep said chickens in, when chickens really don't know any boundaries. Now, I agree with Lori when she said when they get into people's gardens and flowers and, you know, poop on their driveways or wherever they do and destroy. I understand that completely. You got to respect somebody's property. But the Lori had explained that the law or the way the bylaw was going to be written was not just a one and done thing. You get a complaint, you got to put up a fence, because I think that that's going to just lead to a whole nother can of ugly fences being put up in a lot of neighbor disputes. Because I know what kind of fence I'd put up if somebody complained that my chicken happened to walk into their yard. Although I'd be extremely sympathetic and rectify the situation immediately, I just don't, I just know how we're having the rooster problem and how that's going and how that's being handled. And I don't wish that on anybody. So I'm just trying to come to a little more of a pro farmer, pro neighbor bylaw, I guess is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think the AgCom, I think one of our initial fears was, would this lead to unintended consequences? Would somebody be able to call up and say, hey, I hear a cow, I don't like it?
Right.
And, which is certainly not ag friendly and not the spirit of the right to farm law in Templeton.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think what we're looking at is a nuisance type of bylaw when we can't seem to get people to play nice in the sandbox. Chickens know no boundaries. However, a responsible owner would keep them contained on their property unless, occasionally they fly out or something.
And that was my point, was that the chickens don't know. And I mean, if it's a one-off thing, I understand. I mean, some people are just really edgy, is the word I'm going to use, about their property and what's coming in. So much as a dog runs across somebody's front yard on a lead or something, they can throw a tizzy fit. I've seen it happen, even though the dog wasn't doing anything but happened to put foot on the driveway. So you can see a chicken. They're saying, oh, his chickens are running amok. You need to fence those animals in. They're wild. They're scaring my cat or some damn thing. I don't know. People are weird.
If somebody owns chickens, though, they have a responsibility to keep them on their own property. And I feel like that's common sense that, unless your neighbor says, yeah, let them come over, I don't care. And there could be that situation. But if you own chickens and your next door neighbor is upset that they continually come and poop on your deck or tear up your vegetable garden, then absolutely you need to contain those. And
Yeah, no doubt.
and common sense would say that somebody would respect that and there wouldn't be a problem. But unfortunately, it looks like that isn't always the case. And that maybe we have to be more proactive for that type of complaint.
And back to your point, where the people, like you see here, we start with the chickens, and what's it, the cow or the smell, or I mean.
Yeah, the right to farm bylaw really should protect most of those normal farming practices, and backyard chickens, are really on the edge of what's a right to farm and what's a hobby.
Right.
But we don't want to be the community that bans chickens, because then that would be terrible. A lot of people are finding a lot of solace in growing their own food.
I really don't want to ban anything, and it is all complaint driven. And to be perfectly honest with you, we don't get all that many complaints. I mean, it's few and far between, and it's mostly 2 properties. And
it's
I don't have anything to stand on to take care of the two issues that we've got. That's the
Right.
problem.
And I think
Yeah.
at the ag meeting that we held, one of the things that we were also sensitive to is the enforcement. It's great to say, thou shalt not, and if you get this complaint and then the second complaint, and then the police will go out. I hate the thought of burdening our already burdened police force to enforce chicken issues. And so hopefully there won't be many. But because I don't know, where else you would go, because you can't have a bylaw if you don't have some teeth, because then who's going to obey it?
Right, right. And
And not everybody's gonna know there's a lot of bylaws that if somebody, say, for example, decides them and their children want to have half a dozen chickens and have fresh eggs every morning, they might not do all the research that's necessary. So I don't want to make it a permitting issue, because I don't think you should have to have a permit for
no
anything. but
permits. No
That's what I'm
permits.
saying. I don't want a permit for anything, but
Mm.
I don't know if there's some sort of education. I don't even know where to start with it, but
Yeah, there's some towns. I know there was a big one in North Brookfield. I know Agway sponsored one on backyard. So, each spring as Easter comes about, different towns have held kind of seminars and classes on raising backyard chickens. So, that's something that we could keep in mind too, is maybe having some sort of, thing on the cable TV on doing that, mentioning, good chicken raising, good practices, kindness to neighbors, things like that.
sure, Agway would help out or something, but are you
Yeah,
gonna-
they had one. I went, I don't know, several years ago. They held one, and it was really good. There was a lot of parents, little kids there, and because they sell chicks, this time of year, or you order them this time of year. So yeah, I mean, that's something we could keep in mind. A little seminar on proper chicken raising.
Or maybe just a link on the website to somebody who might have information, maybe before you get chickens, talk to the AgCom and see, just get some pointers or something.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because
That's a
we
great
don't even have to
idea.
reinvent the wheel, because there's
Right.
several towns that have already, a little bit more rural than us, that have put out some good materials. So we wouldn't even have to reinvent anything. We could just already produced.
That was my only issue, was the damming law. It just came out as very negative,
Well,
which
when we
have to be, I
first read
guess.
it, we were kind of nervous ourselves, and we had a AgCom meeting, and then one of our board members called the Commissioner of Agriculture, and was able to finally connect with him and talk with him and ask his advice, and what do other towns do, and do you see any problem with this? And he was like, I mean, it is what it is, and we're not banning them outright. So I think it struck me as kind of funny, because you can't make a rooster not crow between those hours, but you certainly can do things to situate your coop so that they're not offensive.
Oh, yeah.
And really,
Be
that's
nice to your
all.
neighbor, I guess, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Be wary of what you're doing.
Yeah, and don't point them towards your neighbor's bedroom, things like that.
Yeah.
And I did, Mr. Riek was going to join us, but he got called into work tonight. And he provided me with a recording of this morning at like 4:30 in the morning. And it was constant. So I get it. I do.
Right.
Yeah.
And like
I
Carrie
sympathize with them.
Yeah.
We all
And-
do.
And there are ways that we could mitigate it. I really, really, really wanted to mediate and talk to the two people at the same time, but can't get them in the same room at the same time. So, I feel like my hand's being forced. But
So-
we can look at rewording that section, Earl.
Just a little
Okay.
bit, just to make it a little more,
Soften it up.
yeah, so yeah, same idea, but just soften it up so that people
Okay.
won't feel like they're gonna be punished for, a
Having
minor.
chickens.
I mean,
Right.
if you bring somebody a dozen fresh eggs, they're probably gonna overlook the chicken walking through the front yard. Just
And
a little hint.
most people don't mind having the chickens wandering around. They're great tick eaters.
Tick
They're
eaters.
bug eaters. So the problem is that there are, I've seen the carnage after the chickens.
Oh, yeah, they can do a lot of damage.
With one of them, yeah. So, it was a pristine yard with beautiful flowers, and they eat everything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but okay, so I'll
Ducks are
soften
more
that up.
traditions.
Right.
Alright. So where does this go from here? Is this something that has to go before the town to vote on the bylaw change, to vote on a new bylaw?
It does. Yep. What'll happen first is I'll do a little rewording, provide it to you guys and my board again to take another peek at it. And then it'll go to town council, and it won't go until the fall town meeting now. So,
I'm saying, yeah, we're getting too close to the May meeting.
Yep. So there's still hope of getting together with the property owner and maybe seeing if something can happen in between. But
Yeah, I mean, I wish if the property owner realized that they're, maybe they don't care, that a whole bylaw was being created because of a unwillingness to cooperate, but maybe that isn't that big a deal to them. I don't know. I feel sad about that.
I do too, Carrie. So.
Yep.
Just
I
seems
can
like
make one. I'll make one last attempt.
we know you've been making the
you've tried a
attempts,
lot.
but You've been taking a lot of them, and this has been going
Well,
on
this
for
poor
months.
guy has to
so.
deal with it for another summer, so.
Yeah.
I know.
Summer and,
Yeah, if it's not brought up until the fall meeting, so.
yeah.
I at least I don't think I can get it on the Springtown meeting, but I'll double check tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Any
well,
other questions or comments? Thank you, Carrie, for your.
Yeah, thanks for letting me join late here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Moving along to number 7. The community septic loan for 967 Patriots Road.
So 967 Patriots Road are 4 condos, and they need to update their system. And each unit is actually they had a previous septic loan from before. So 2 of them had paid off the previous loan, and 2 of them still have part of the loan out there. So unit A would be looking for 6,600. Unit B would be looking for 8,700. Unit C would be looking for 66, and unit D would be looking for 87. And that takes care of that. That's actually incorporating all the fees, but they do have some funds from the condo association account. So those amounts that I gave you could be less. That's the maximum amount they would need.
Okay. Okay. I make a motion that we would accept those as well.
I'll second it.
it.
I'll
Two
agree.
seconds. All in favor. Thank you.
So I'll get all of those ready, and I'll let you know, Jane,
Okay.
when everything comes back.
Okay. Perfect. I'm trying to think where there's condos on Patriots Road. Why can't I figure this
They look
out?
like townhouses. They're 2 sets of 4. Right by the bridge
Oh,
that crosses on your way towards the
Phillipston.
Fernald School
okay.
on the
All
right hand
right.
side.
Yep, I know where they are now. Now that you say, I'm like thinking more Templeton side, but okay, I know. All right. I think that's it. Next meeting would be,
I had March 28th.
that works for me.
There are no YouTube questions either.
Thank you, Lori.
You
Laura.
just called me Lori.
I did. Getting my Lori's and Laura confused.
Thank you, Laura.
She's been watching it.
Now, Lori, if you can get that
Okay.
Rooster
Yeah.
bylaw thing done, or we can get it on the spring agenda or ballot, whatever you want to call it there.
Yep.
Will we have to vote on that, or can we do something to make sure, just so that that guy doesn't have to suffer any longer,
I don't believe
if
you have.
possible?
Yeah, I will get it done, get it out to you tomorrow with a softer kind of verbiage. And I'll talk to Adam tomorrow if he's in and see what we can do. If we have to come together, it's just our office putting it forward. So I'm not sure whether or not you have to vote on it or not.
Okay.
I'll figure that out too.
Okay. Could we have a special meeting to vote on it, or?
You could
Yes.
just need,
Okay.
just need 48 hours to post. That's all.
48 hours. Okay.
I'd be willing to come in for that.
Okay.
So that's not a
Great.
problem.
Oh, yeah, we could have it in
Definitely.
person.
Yes,
Yes,
We
we
now
could.
we're back to person. Woo.
very excited. No offense,
Yeah.
Hannah and Dan.
Yeah. Okay. Great. All
I'm
right.
taken.
And I guess that's it. Are we ready to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Seconded.
And after all that, Lori, I forgot to say the Pledge of Allegiance, didn't I? Sorry.
Well, that's okay.
In person, we have to say that. I forget on Zoom, so.
I could
I
run out to
know.
my driveway and get the flag, so.
I could, yeah, I went out in the front. Okay, thank you guys, and we are officially adjourned.